fed this by the media. Not a problem if you assume that. But did the media feed me Ben Roethlisberger standing in front of the world and saying, I didn't want to call that play? You're right. No one fed me that because Ben said that. And if you didn't want to call that play, I'm sure, as I told the homie, I'm sure they didn't call, throw it to the linebacker on one. They didn't call that play. So, Ben, you are a royal fuck up. And to be perfectly honest with you, everybody keeps saying, who's the winner of this trade? Who's the winner? Who's the loser? Who's the winner? Who's the loser? Antonio Brown and the players, if they are woke, won. Because, yeah, you can only do this if you're a high-level player. Don't be doing this shit in your ass on the 53-man roster, your ass number 46. You got to be doing this if you 15 and up. But withholding your services is the only power that you have. Louis Riddick has been on record, and Louis Riddick is one of the most straight shooters. Is the only straight. Him and Booger McFarland are the only two straight shooters on the whole ESPN network, as far as I'm concerned. We have Trey Wingo as well. I apologize to Trey Wingo. I like Trey Wingo, I like Booger, and I like Louis Riddick. And they all say Ben Roethlisberger is not without fault. Am I absolving Antonio Brown for his behavior? No, I'm not. Antonio, you don't not show up to games, and you complaining to the coach about you not feeling well. And I also don't like the fact that you throw the brother, Mike Tomlin, under the damn bus. That's some sucker shit in itself. But let's just focus on Antonio versus Ben. Ben, you need Antonio. Because guess what? Y'all know how I like to do these little unscientific experiments. And one of the unscientific experiments that I did was I asked about 8 people to name the top wide receiver in the National Football League. All 3 of them named Antonio Brown in the top 3. Everybody I asked, within the first 3 people, they said Antonio Brown. I in turn asked them to name the best quarterbacks in the league. And every one of them omitted Ben Roethlisberger. This leads me to believe AB hated Vic too. That's possible. Grego, I'm not saying that AB is without flaw. I refuse. Hey, Grego, you know me, man. You know me. I'm not gonna pull no punches and say this dude's not an ass clown. Because you know what? That would officially make me an ass clown. Seriously, and I'm dead serious, Grego. But what I'm saying is, all I'm saying, Grego, is this. Let's not omit this jackass Roethlisberger. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. He is not without flaw. Grego, I'm pissed off at AB because he threw the homie Mike Tomlin under the fucking bus. I hate that. I truly, truly, truly hate that. Because, you know, you joke a lot, but me and you both know how difficult it is to find a coaching job if you look like us. It's extremely difficult to find a job. And when you got people saying, hey, Mike Tomlin don't have a tight ship. Hey, Mike Tomlin isn't as efficient. No, Mike Tomlin just don't treat you like a child. He expects you to do what they paying you between hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to do. Now, if y'all want him to crack the whip, he can treat you like a child, like my man Grego's favorite coach. He can treat you like a fucking kid and be on your ass and cracking the whip. Or you could just be a man, like your parents raised you to be, or like the people around you are doing. Follow suit. You ain't got to kiss no ass. You ain't got to bootleg. You ain't got to bow down. Just come as hard as you practice, AB. Put that same energy into being the best possible teammate. All I'm saying, Grego, is let's not look at this as a all the way bad thing. Antonio Brown renegotiated his contract when there was no more guaranteed money, just like teams renegotiate the contract when there's no more guaranteed money. For example, everybody, speaking of Grego, I'm glad you spoke up, Grego. Speaking of Grego, everybody talks about the Patriot way. The Patriot way is to get motherfuckers to work for minimum wage. Let's just be honest. The Patriot way is to get people What they do? Look at this. Look at this. When you look at the New England Patriot roster, they are not getting most of their players from top flight schools who are in the mix. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Out of the first 13 people on this list as I look at their rosters, Navy, Texas Christian, Vanderbilt, Nebraska, Texas, Florida, Michigan, Miami. That's Tom Brady, Michigan. Miami, Purdue, Georgia, California, Louisiana Tech. Those are schools that are not putting out big-time players. So that's what Bill Belichick does. Everybody's looking for the first-round draft pick, and he's going to change our franchise. No, the hell he's not, because you only get one. But what Bill Belichick does is pick up a lot of free agents, undrafted free agents, and he pick up school players from schools who are not on the top flight level, like the Alabamas, like the Clemsons and things like that, because he know those are 5-star players. He understands the concept of if you want a lineman, you may as well go to a non-powerhouse school like a California, Cal Berkeley, where they're running a traditional offense, or Nebraska, where they're running a traditional offense, or like a Vanderbilt, where they're running a traditional offense, or like a Texas Christian, where they're running a traditional offense, and you get you an offensive lineman who is used to busting people in the mouth. And then you get a wide receiver who's used to running precise routes from those same kinds of schools, and you don't have to pay them a lot, and then you coach them up and kick ass and take names. That's the Patriot way. You get people to play for minimum wage, like I told y'all 3 weeks ago. And I know some people roll their eyes like, what you mean minimum wage? These pro athletes. If you can pay, minimum wage is not about the number. Minimum wage is getting you to pay for as little as I can get you to pay for without much compensation. That's what minimum wage. It has nothing to do with, hey, you supposed $10 an hour. No. If I can get you, if league's minimum say I have to pay you at least $1 million, I'm gonna pay you $1 million. If you are worth 3 and I could trick you into this ring shit, oh, you gonna win the championship, then you gonna play for that. Again, they tricking these dudes into playing for less money with the facade of you can win, you can be immortalized. I challenge anybody to tell me who was an offensive lineman, who was a defensive back on on the Packers' last Super Bowl championship. Name a defensive lineman not named Bennett for the Legion of Boom. Name a safety not named Cam Chancellor or my man who just got hurt. Name the defensive back on the other side of Richard Sherman. See, that's what I'm talking about. These are the dudes who are paying. That's why I almost have faith in John Gruden for whatever reason. Because John Gruden hired Mike Mayock. And not because Mike Mayock knows everything. It's because Mike Mayock for the last 5 or 10 years has been scouting every high school and college football player in the nation. And he knows people at Rudy Pooh State, Pooh Butt University, Homeboy U, and all these dudes that none of us are paying attention to. Mike Mayock know those guys. And Mike Mayock is going to give him a good grade on this. And by the time it's time to play and pay, they're going to have a bunch of dudes who are very good, like a Richard Sherman, like a Cam Chancellor, like a Michael Bennett, undrafted free agent out of Texas A&M, and they are going to recreate that Legion of Boom. It's the Jimmy Johnson thing. Pete Carroll did it, Jimmy Johnson did it. It's the reason why they the only two to do it, because these are the players that they recruited coming into SC and into the U. And then 5 years later, you go to the Cowboys, and when you were recruiting at Oklahoma State and you were recruiting at the U, these are the players you were playing against. So you knew all the dudes at the little schools that y'all used to beat the hell out of who flashed onto your screen. You knew them. Pete Carroll did the same thing, and now John Gruden, I believe, is going to try to do the same thing, but he's a fucking moron, so I don't have a lot of faith in him. But again, this is what I mean, getting these dudes to play for minimum wage when they really, in all actuality, should be second, third, and first round players. It's only 32 of them. So what happens is he gets them at discount bargain prices and then, bam, they coach these dudes up, and then they become winners. My man, that ninja's in the building. Thank you, Real Cash Ranger, another Real Cash Ranger with Jungle Brother. Hit the follow button. Thank you. And I'm sorry. The first thing I heard is I have faith in John Gruden. Then you were not listening, my friend. I said I have zero faith in John Gruden. I said I believe Mike, and I believe Mike Mayock. Again, you were not listening properly. You only heard a portion of what I said. I'm assuming there's some type of interference and static. No, you misheard that. I said I have zero faith in John Gruden. I said I believe his thinking is this. He's going to use the Jimmy Johnson method. The Jimmy Johnson method is I recruited and coached against all these young people for the last 5 years. I know everybody in the country who was worth a damn, who I couldn't get and who I did get. Mike Mayock for the last 5 years has been looking at these same guys. So I'm going to attempt to tap into Mike Mayock's brain and use the information that he has to potentially get players to play for minimum wage. There are schools that me and you, like you, Dope Show last night, you and Jungle Brother did that show about college football. There are schools like Southwestern Texas, like let me look at some of these schools that I was talking about. Western Carolina, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Brown. These are guys, Kent State, Utah, Rutgers, Monmouth, Appalachian State, South Dakota State. These are the schools that are going to be scouted by. I know, ain't no beef, bro. It ain't no problem. Just making sure I was about to call mediocre medical attention to you. Yeah, I would have to be. But this is what I'm going to reiterate, Ninja. My point is this. There's no such thing as the Patriot way. The schools I just named to you are schools that Bill Belichick scouts, and he finds traditional linemen, and that's why his line gets improved every year, because he's going to these schools who run the traditional offenses to knock you on your ass, and you ain't paying attention to this dude because he at Rudy Poo State, and you looking at everybody at Alabama. And what Mike Mayock allows John Gruden to do is recreate that, just like Jimmy Johnson created the blueprint, Pete Carroll followed the blueprint, and I think John Gruden is going to give Mike Mayock an attempt to follow that blueprint. I'm a Raider fan. I have zero faith in him, but I believe that's the line of thinking. My point is, we as a sport community must stop siding with management when it comes to cases like Antonio, when it comes to cases like when it comes to cases like Odell Beckham and others like that, because at your job, as I stated, at your job, you will never side with management. You will always side with the employees. But as sports fans, for whatever reason, we side with management. So, like I was saying, man, there is no Patriot way. They are getting people to play at minimum wage. And they are getting talented football players to do as such. And when these dudes say, like I said, when they buck the odds and say, hey, I want more money, we get mad at them. I don't give a damn. I think Odell Beckham Jr. is the biggest dummy. Him and Antonio are the biggest kids in the world. They act like dickheads. But it doesn't change the fact that they're productive. When your output outweighs your behavior, you get paid. Point blank, period. We must stop doing that as a sports community. No one does that. And any other, hey, bro, you're the only outlier that don't do it, God bless you. God bless you with insight that the rest of us don't have. But people, when I speak of we, I'm talking about the sports community. Everybody but Ninja. Now, when you look at these things, and everybody is always being called into question, what we are doing is ignoring but I'm speaking, when I say we, I'm speaking as, like, I'm speaking